I'm going to be talking fast, and when we're done, we'll adjourn the meeting. But CALI staff will hang on. Notice that we're using Zoom meetings here, so people can unmute their mics, and then we can have like an informal chat if you want to after the fact. All right. So let me start with this. This is a graph of CALI dues since our inception in 1983. And the yellow is what 4% looks like. The blue is what 3% looks like, and inflation is the green down there, 2.88%, and that's inflation over those 42 plus years. So Cali dues are coming in at about 3.5% increase over on a sort of a year on year. But the key thing I wanted to point out here is that Cali is not a ridiculously expensive thing for the members. It's $14 per student per year, which comes out to about a buck 20 a month per student. For that, of course, you get lessons and the books and the conference and the award system. If your school adopts just one book at $250 for 50 students, that saves the students over $12,000. That's the value, that's beyond the value of the $8,700, which is our current dues. There will be no dues increase this year. I hope that's a happy news for you all. And we really do appreciate and need your support. All right. The biggest news of the year came towards the end of the year, and it's $1 million news. We received a grant from Once Upon a Time Foundation of $1 million, and I'll get into the details in a second. Elisa Klein, who is a law professor at Wilmington School of Law, was instrumental in helping us out with that, and I wanted to make sure I called her out for her assistance and expressed my appreciation. I have been working on grant proposals and such things for a couple of years without much luck. It's tough out there, as you might imagine. And so I almost feel like I can't take much credit for this, except for the fact that when it happened, I was ready for it. So, the old saying, luck favors the prepared, I was prepared, and Cali benefited from that. So here's the deal. Once Upon a Time will give us $250,000 per year for 4 years. But Cali must raise 50,000 of its own each year, and then they match at a 5x rate. So the one of the goals, one of the purposes of Once Upon a Time giving grants to nonprofits is that they improve or increase their ability to do their own fundraising. And that's where their support and assistance comes in. In addition, they like what we do. They want us to do more of what we do. So now, of course, there's a donate button on the Cali website. Smash and like that button if you like. And we've gotten our first quarterly payout of that. We've raised $22,173. And so they matched it at 5x, and we saw $110,000 drop into our bank account, right before the new year. This has never happened to Cali before, and so it's fantastic and it's wonderful. A lot of our donations, we got donations from quite a few people, but we got the largest single donation from Tim Stanley and Stacy Stern, at Justia, and their very tired pug. And so I want to make sure I appreciate them for their support of what we do. Now, how are we going to get the rest of that money in? What are we going to do in the coming years? Well, basically, when you do fundraising, you break it down into audiences or cohorts, and you say, there are people that know us, appreciated us, may be aware of us, and you work those people, you work those numbers, and these are just some of the cohorts that we're looking at, right? I've got current board members, some of them who have already donated. Thank you, folks. We've got past board members. We've got authors and reviewers, over 500 faculty who have either written a lesson or a book or who have done a review. We have thousands of thousands, maybe that's more like five or 600 actually. People, oh no, attendees. We definitely have thousands of people who have attended CALI conferences. I was going to say hundreds who have presented at CALI conferences. We have hundreds of thousands of past users of CALI lessons who are out of law school and who may have fond memories of running CALI lessons, or at least awareness of us. And we have tens of thousands of people, some of which we have emails for, some we don't, who have downloaded our free ebooks and so benefited from us. And finally, we've got over 400,000 people who have received the CALI Award, and we hope affluent friends, people who might be able to write the bigger check or the or do a donation or something like that. So if you find yourself in any of these categories, you will be hearing from us. I hope you will be accepting our message with warmth and in the spirit that is intended. We understand this is a very competitive market for finding people to do donations. But if even 1% of the total people that we reach give us $10, that covers our need for the match going forward. And if 10% of those numbers, well then, that's wonderful to contemplate. And fundraising very much is a numbers game, and so you'll be hearing more about that. So Once Upon a Time wants us to keep doing what we're doing already. They want more free legal textbooks, more casebooks, and we've already signed on 3 new authors since the grant started. They want us to do more fellowships, and I'll be talking about that in just a second. Um, Interestingly, they're interested in us improving our outreach initiatives, and I will also talk about that. With the whole base idea here is to get better at finding new revenue sources, to get better at fundraising. And so that's on our plate to be done. So let's talk about casebooks, new casebooks. So Elisa was known to us because she had written a casebook for us, a new con law casebook, which just came out, constitutional law with a twist, less is more. And so if you're interested in learning about con law, you can for free go get that book from our website. There's quite a few new books coming out. Val Ricks with his contract law application and logic. Um, Legal argumentation, Brian Larson. Brian assembled a crew of editors and contributors, including a crew of students, to write the chapters for this book. I love projects like this because it may be that this book wouldn't be used in a single class, but it's quite possible that a chapter of this book or a few chapters of the book would be of interest to people in their legal research classes or in their specific topic or doctrine areas. And because our books are free, it's not a burden to say, well, I'm gonna assign a book, I'm gonna assign a second book, but I only want you to read one chapter. If you're telling the students to buy a $100 or $200 book, that's a hard message to give them. But if you're telling them to go get the free book from CALI, we've lowered a barrier and hopefully improved legal education in that way. Nicholas Norton on legal research for business, a book that could be used in legal research, in biz law classes, in secured transactions, a whole bunch of other books. Um, Sean O'Brien, Lawana Davis, and Amanda Rogers on their post-conviction remedies. And of course we've updated, or the authors have updated a bunch of books for fall 2025. Um, we're starting to get that long tail where we have to spend more and more effort keeping the old stuff up to date. And the good news is, as soon as it's up to date, we can put it up on the website. There aren't 6 or 12 month long publishing cycles here because the primary books are available via a download. And of course, you can download the PDF versions, the Word versions, I think that is a key differentiator for us from adoption of other books, because that lets faculty insert their own notes. That lets students copy entire chapters into ChatGPT and say, "Make me a podcast of this," or create some hypotheticals or some multiple choice questions out of this. As well as print versions. We're trying to innovate even in the print version that you can either get as in a binder. You know, when you sell a student an 800-page book, they don't want to have to haul around those 15 pounds of dead trees, so they can clip out or use the binder as a way to clip in their notes if they're old school, as well as the books that are not so big, but you can get them perfect bound from Lulu. Both of those are PODs, print on demands, and we've set the price low, so that it doesn't break the bank for the students. Two new things though this year or in the last year. One of them is we've got most of our books up on VitalSource, and what VitalSource gives is an environment for e-reading on a screen, for note taking, and so it's an ecology for learning for screen readers. The same thing with Amazon. We've got most of our books now up on Amazon. So if your ecology for reading is Kindle, you can go get the books, most of our books out of there as well. And we've been doing a lot of work in the last year. I don't have any details to provide, but I'll give you the hint that we're looking at the fact that since more books are becoming ebooks first, they're ebook forward. We want to make sure that our books are available in open book exams, and so we're working with some folks to make sure that CALI books are available in the situations where it's an open book exam using a secure exam environment, but you can still use the ebook in that situation. All right. We're always looking for new authors. If you're thinking that you could write a book or even just write like the best damn chapter on a topic that anybody's ever written, you know, uh, call us. Give us a proposal. We have a editorial board or an acquisition board made up mostly of board members, entirely of board members, um, and we're strict and rigorous about what we accept, but we because we want to maintain quality, but we're interested even in original, innovative ideas. We'll give you a hearing and we'll give you feedback on that. All right. So the other thing is fellowships. We've launched the Constitutional Law Fellowship. We had so many good candidates. It was very hard to choose. And so we picked five and then had to pick six because we just couldn't stop. They met at ALS in New Orleans and seemed to get along, which is great. I don't envy con law professors writing CALI lessons. It was the running joke of, well, see you next year to update all of them when the Constitution changes. Um, so we hope by fall semester we should have 25 or 30 new lessons in con law for your students to be able to use or for you to be able to assign to your students. For outreach, we're launching a CALI, what we call the CALI Ambassador Program. We plan to hire law students to promote CALI. Now, you have those sorts of things from some of the commercial vendors. Um, we could never really do this until we got this grant where we have some money now to be able to spend. We'll provide the students with swag and we'll have the students do table time and answer questions. And we're going to experiment. We're looking for really innovative ways to solve this problem of making sure that students know that CALI exists. We know you law librarians do a great job of getting the word out. Um, but it's such a noisy environment, and it's too often that students tell us, "I wish I had known about you in my first year," or they're in their third year and they're like, "I wish I knew about you sooner. I would have been, a user of Cali lessons at that time." So if you think your school would particularly benefit from a Cali ambassador, um, let us know. We're you know dissembling on how to pick the schools. Should it only be schools where there's where the usage is low? Should it be schools where the usage is medium and we want to promote it? What's the best way to spend the money? We hope in going forward to increase the number of schools, but we are even with grant money, we are constrained by budget. We did some cool things this year too, where a lot of you guys have vendor day, or you have or open table day at your school, and we don't have the budget for me to fly out and spend a couple of hours in your library or in or hosting a table. And so what we did was we offered to buy schools a TV. And then we asked the librarians to set us up with a Zoom sessions, and I sat there I sat here where I'm at home for 3 or 4 hours. And anytime a student went by, I said, "Hey," and then I gave them the 90-second pitch on Cali. Um, when we were done, rather than ship the TV back to us, we just had the school donate it to a local nonprofit, and they were delighted to get a brand new free TV. Now that sounds almost crazy, right? But TVs cost about 150 or $200, and shipping it would cost a ton of money, and there's a high probability that it would get damaged in shipping. And so it just makes more sense to do it this way, and to get some and to be able to do a donation out of it, is icing on the cake. All right. The things that you don't see though going on in Cali is behind the scenes, the work that we need to do to keep the trains running, to keep the lessons deliverable, to keep 99% uptime on the website. And we've been doing an enormous amount of work on that with Drupal 10 lately. That's mostly on Elmer's plate, as Elmer Masters, as well as Tobias and Torrejo, and of course of Sam Goshorn, who's written our software for our lessons and for QuizWrite and for other back-end stuff. Um, and what Drupal 10 gives us, once we're over that hump, is better management of all the necessary things that keep Cali running. Um, you know, since I started with Cali over 30 years ago, things have gotten complicated, right? We have lessons, they have analytics. We want to give certificates or badges on those lessons. We have books in multiple formats. We want to know more about who's downloading them. We have Cali Awards, soon to be in both print and digital versions, and we want to, provide feedback or information to schools about that. Actually, our awards are some of the most visited. The awards page is one of the most visited pages on our website. People, I guess it's a virtual eagle wall for a lot of people. And of course, with Drupal as our base, it gives us it gives us anchor points for where we might do all sorts of cool AI integrations that we've been thinking about and brainstorming on. And so it's the hidden part of what the dues pay for is keeping a sophisticated website and a collection of services, up and running. Just some quick stats. Our downloads are up almost 10% probably. Lesson runs are kind of flat. New registrations also kind of flat. Things we hope to improve on with increase in our outreach. We're also looking at an aesthetic, a completely new aesthetic for the website. I just thought I'd show you three sort of sample designs that we came up with for that. Fit for law students. You see that we're trying to, we're trying to bring focus to the things that are the most valuable for the most frequent visitors, which is students. So, free case books, rigorous exercises, CALI awards, and testimonials. You know, is this stuff any good? That's how people decide whether or not to use something. Um, Fit for legal education. I like these models with their serious looks and stuff like that. What others say instead of testimonials, or this one, it's actually a video. And then you scroll down and you could still get at all the same information you can get on the CALI website, but it's just less utilitarian. It's a little bit more modern looking. And so look for that in the near future. Yeah, certainly by fall is what we're hoping for. We're taking that theme and using it for the conference, Fit for Legal Education. The conference will be at University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, June 4th and 5th. These are some designs that Scott has worked up. I especially like the third one that I'll get to in just a second here. This is classic Kelly, right? A law book and a shield and a microchip. But I like this one best, where it looks like the law books that remember I made a joke about those 20-pound law books, but they're part of the dumbbells or the barbells or stuff like that. So anyhow, conference coming up in June. If you want to speak at the conference, we'll be doing a call for speakers very soon. We'd love to have you attend. We'd love to have you speak. Have to talk about AI, right? Everybody's talking about AI always. And I want to first reference a slide that I had from last year where I was probably expressing some concern, right? The that was probably peak time when people were worried about slop from AI. It's still a problem and it's still an issue that AI is. It makes it easier for crap to be created. Um, but I have two or three friends from high school who went to medical school, and we had dinner together over the holidays, and one of the things that came up was how much they use open evidence, which I hadn't heard about before them. And open evidence is a specialized AI trained only on materials from the New England Journal of Medicine, JAMA, Cancer Network, and the Mayo Clinic platform. But this quote sort of does it. As a product, open evidence is an AI co-pilot for doctors, helps them make high stakes decisions at the point of care. So your doctor is sitting there Googling your problem, but now at least they're not using just Google, they're using open evidence. It's the most widely used medical AI among verified US physicians. They've supported over 100 million AI-powered clinical consultations. And this conversation with my friends was, yeah, they trust it, or at least they know enough about AI to know how much to trust it. And so, in a remarkably short period of time, open evidence has become the default operating system of medical knowledge in the United States. If doctors are willing to trust this, why not lawyers? Why not law professors? That's the question, right? So I ran across this article, which just got published. It's only now a month ago. Greg is at Mitchell Hamlin, and this is a wonderful article. I highly recommend you all read it. And he's redesigning an entire course, his contracts law course. He's teaching it, I imagine, right now. So it'll be very interesting to talk to him in a few months. But I want to use this and a couple of other articles to be my pull quotes. AI could generate a lecture. A bot could answer student questions, give them hypotheticals and feedback. The AI could administer and grade assessments and assign final grades. he's going to live the truth or the failure of that in his class this semester. And I thought this was the most interesting quote out of it. Am I any better a teacher than a bot? That's got to be the question that has to be answered. But there's also the question of, and did the students learn any better than from lacking AI in the past or from a teacher? Or did the students learn even better? In other words, can we not just put the standard or the bar at what we can do now, but can we go beyond that bar? Can students be learn faster or more or become better lawyers as a result of having tools that meld well with their individual learning requirements and things like that. So one of the goals of for his this for the course is to teach students how to build and customize these academic support tools themselves. And I both like this and I'm afraid of it. I like it because I like agency. I like the fact that students will have the agency to figure out how they do their own learning. And I also think it's highly inefficient for thousands of students or hundreds of thousands of students all to each have to figure this stuff out for themselves. Their goal in law school is not to become AI experts. Their goal in law school is to become lawyers. And I know there's room between those two statements, and that's what we're struggling to find, the space between those two as we go forward. There was another article on SSRN just also like about a month ago, um, grading machines, where the key findings were that when provided with a detailed grading rubric, GPT-5 achieved a 0.93 correlation, which is pretty good. In other words, you can use AI to grade things. Now, for the faculty who are going to be too scared of that, I'm scared of that. That fills me with a little bit of wonder and fright. I think, well, but turning that capability around is this. What if the students can grade themselves? In other words, what if the students practice writing and then use a grading rubric provided by the faculty member so that they can, and then the AI provides the feedback. The problem that solves is a big one, right? We don't do enough formative assessment with our students. We can't grade 10 papers or 10 assignments that they write in a semester. If you got 100 students, that's be 1,000 gradings. We just don't have the bandwidth for that, but the AI does. And if it's good enough, it doesn't have to be perfect. If it's good enough, then that lets the student iterate over their own thing. And as we know, practice can make better or make perfect. And so if the AI takes the burden of doing the practice exams, the formative assessments, the feedback that brings the student up to a higher level by the time they hit the final exam. They should hit the final exam knowing exactly what's expected of them, or at least a lot better idea, which is another huge issue with students and with law students and legal education. They show up at the final exam and they're blindsided by not realizing, not being confident in what they're actually supposed to do to get the A, not just to do the minimum to get the C minus or something like that. So where does CALI fit into all this? And that's a hard question that we're going to keep working on as we go forward. But I want to use this pull quote to help me explain where I think we're headed. We may be building engines of extraordinary productivity, but we are not yet building the social machinery that will make that productivity broadly usable and broadly beneficial. We are just hoping that they somehow evolve. And this was an article by Tim Riley about a year ago that I found. But I want to highlight that the social machinery that will make productivity broadly usable and broadly beneficial. And I think that's where CALI is. We will help build or we will construct the social machinery to make this something that is useful for everybody, broadly usable and beneficial for everybody. I still like everybody having agency, but I also dislike the idea of everybody having to do all the work. It's inefficient in my thinking. And that means work on tooling. That means work on community so that people share good ideas and we get those out. That means curation, having an opinion. I don't think it would be bad to have a strong opinion about how things are working. We want to recognize people that are doing great work and have them have their work seen. We want to look for opportunities to do things. Our mission statement says that we don't have to always say, gee, does this make money? Oh, then we're not going to do it. Our mission statement says, if this is good for legal education, let's find a way to do it. And if all that AI becomes is 100 different $10 a month subscriptions to things, then I don't think it's reaching its full potential. And so I want to find ways to raise all boats or to improve everybody's capabilities within legal education. And that's my goal. That's my plan. That's CALI's plan for 2026. All right. That's my talk. I always have people to thank, the board officers who work for CALI for gratis, the board of directors and the authors and the CEBers who keep the quality of our stuff high, CaliCon speakers and registrars who enter the awards, and of course, thanks to the students. Um, you'll now see this for me every time I talk. Don't forget to donate to CALI. There's a donate button on every single page, and we'll be in touch. I of course have to express my thanks to the Once Upon a Time Foundation and Elisa for helping us wrangle this grant, and Tim and Stacy and Pug for helping us bring it home, so to speak. And of course, thank my staff who work hard and frustrate me endlessly. But that's their job to keep me on my toes and for me to keep them on their toes. And of course, I have to thank my dog, Macintosh. So that's it.
Hey, John,
Yes.
okay, the results are the board has been elected.
Good. Excellent. So we have two new board members. Michael and Kaz will be in touch about when the next board meeting is. So that's it. Back to you, Amy, to adjourn the meeting, and then if you want to stick around and chat with staff, we'll be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. We'll consider this meeting adjourned. Have a great afternoon.